And the author says it is invalid to buy or sell. There's a typo here. It is invalid to buy or sell to the non-accountable person, i.e., it is invalid for an insane person or non-pubescent to sell or buy. Now, it's interesting uh, choice of words here, because non-accountable also includes what? That the person never got the call to Islam. So it's possible that someone is sane and pubescent and still not accountable because he hasn't received the basic message of Islam. But this one is not meant here. So why the Shaykh said that, I haven't heard. Maybe just cause it makes it a little bit easier. Like this word non-accountable here is an approximation, as if the statement could add a non-accountable person other than one who merely didn't receive the message of Islam. So then that's going to be the insane person or the non-pubescent person. It is invalid to buy or sell, yani buy from, maybe that's what this one is supposed to be here. It says buy of or sell to. It is invalid to buy from or sell to the non-accountable person, i.e., it is invalid for an insane person or non-pubescent person to sell or buy. Yani, he explained his own words right there. He told you exactly what he meant, but here doesn't explicitly exclude the one that I explicitly excluded for you. Because it is not permissible for any of the contracting parties, the seller or the buyer, or whoever's on either side of the deal, to be unaccountable, i.e., to be insane or underage in the school of Imam Ash-Shafi'i. Underage here means prepubescent. In the school of our Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah raise his rank. On the other hand, it is permissible to trade with a child who has the capacity to discern, yani a child who's mumayyiz here has the capacity to discern. It was worded here. In other spots in this book, they just said mumayyiz when it should have been set out in English words, I'd say. Here they set it out in words. To trade with a child who has the capacity to discern with the permission of their guardian. Yani, they trade with the permission of their guardian or his guardian. According to the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah raise his rank. Note for you, proper pronunciation is Hanbal with a light M sound there, M instead of N. Hanbal, like that. Flip the noon into a meme. Hanbal. So I think that's clear. If you have a question, go ahead. Yani, according to Shafi'i school, child cannot deal until puberty. So he can't deal with his own money. Instead, you, the guardian, are in charge of this child's money. You're going to manage it. Being in charge of it means not only you're going to store it, it could be that you actually manage it for the benefit of the child. That's permissible. Not to take any of the money. Yani, his money could be land, for example. So then you're going to make sure that this land gets taken care of. Also, it is not valid to sell or buy what cannot be delivered, what the seller can't deliver to the buyer, such as selling a lost item. If you lose an item, it's still yours. If someone loses an item, it still belongs to the person who lost it. So you have to think twice before you just take a lost and found item. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers, that's invalid. Or what was unjustly taken from the owner by a third party, so he can't sell it, yani he can't deliver it because it was taken from him. He got brodied, some people might say, and it cannot be retrieved.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So, when the police pull somebody over, take their car, whatever reason, they go and put it in a lot. People go buy them cars. Is that the same category as that?
This is problematic. Subhanallah. Could fall into that. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Because it doesn't become theirs just because they took it from somebody because he didn't have some paperwork, for example, or something like that. Or he wasn't able to get his car out of the lot until the time ran out. According to them, they finally had to get rid of it to make room for more cars to steal. Yeah, that's so. I'm not really sure how a person definitely can
fall into that.
Buy this way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and if somebody knows that, then teach me. Especially that it could be that some of those things belong to Muslims. Even if somebody wanted to take some maybe weight, possibly Hanafi weight, but it's not unlikely that some of that is Muslims' property. Sometimes some money becomes what's called lost money. This is when you don't know who it belongs to anymore, which that's not necessarily the case here. Lost money, you can't, you can't just take it. And what cannot be retrieved? What has no religiously considered benefit? What has no religiously considered benefit? Yani, a benefit considered religiously. Not any benefit, such as selling burnt bread, is not valid. Or vermin. Yani, even if a person wants to buy it from you, you can't sell it to him. It's not valid. Or vermin that have no lawful benefit, such as beetles and scorpions. That's the difference between a person who learned these dealings and someone who didn't. If someone didn't, then he'll sell you anything if you're willing to pay for it. That's the scam of stocks, by the way. That's the gist of it. The scam is that someone says, how can we get people to give us money without giving them anything back? So someone says, I have an idea. How about we sell them something, like it's not really anything actually, but we're going to tell them they have some stake in something and that they have a share in something. And maybe we might even be able to, if we had to give them some money back, give them less than what they gave us. Could be maybe sometimes we're going to have to pay them more, but maybe we could even get away with not giving them any money at all, and they give us their money. If they're willing to pay us, we're going to take it. So let's sell these things. We're going to call them stocks. We're going to call them Bitcoin. Anybody who's willing to pay for it, then we're going to take his money right now. Live cash. We'll take it. And in return, we're going to give you something. Yeah, we're going to sell you an idea. In return, we're going to sell you an idea. But yeah, it's a gamble on our part too. We might have to actually pay out to this guy who we sold him an idea. So it's a gamble. According to some Shafi'i scholars, it is also invalid to transact anything without communicating a verbal statement. Yes. So this is the strong saying in the Shafi'i school, that a sale requires a statement. Just like the strong saying in the Shafi'i school is that if you're buying something in particular, you have to see what it is. Yani, you have to see it. Such as, such a statement would be, such as, I now sell you such and such, or I now buy such and such from you. And then the other side says, I accept, alongside other conditions. Other conditions in the statement. So we're not going to go into the details here. We're just going to stick to the book, inshallah. When I was overseas, a lot of times I would say qabiltu or some other statement. So some of them, more than one person said to me, qabiltu means I accept. or some other sales statement. I would say it when I would be out there in the store. So more than one said to me, "You know how to do Arab dealings." But really, that's Islamic dealings. So I found that interesting that that's how they saw that. This is Arab dealings. Yes, question.
Shaykh Ra'id, would you please be able to repeat the phrase that you used for such dealings, please?
You see, according to some Shafi'i scholars, it is also invalid to transact anything without communicating a verbal statement. A statement such as, "I now sell you such and such," or "I now buy such and such from you," alongside other conditions. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
You know the phrase that you just used that you
In
used when
Arabic?
you were. Yes, please.
Yeah. Qabiltu. Qabiltu.
With the qaf.
Yes. Qabiltu.
Barakallahu fikum. Thank you.
Amin wa fikum. You're welcome. The author says, according to others among the Shafi'i school, maybe here you could say according to others in the Shafi'i school, mutual consent is enough. Mutual consent means doing a sale without statements, rather just doing it normally. That's conditioned that you're doing it normally. Someone might say, what does normal mean? So I'll give you an example of abnormal. Abnormal is you go to the cash register, get some gas for your car, and then you say to the guy in there, you don't, Yani, you just say to the guy in there, no, wait. Not this, you have to talk to him here for the gas. Sorry, not a good example here. For gas, you need to talk. So abnormal is like you get some stuff, you take it up to the cash register. And in your heart, you want to give him a gift. And in his mind, he's just doing what he does all the time, every single day. And there's no words between you. You put the items down. He rings up the price on the cash register. You look at it with your own eyes, pull the money out and give it to him. He takes the money from you. He gives you your change back, if any. He bags your stuff up, and you say thank you, and you take it and leave. And in your heart, that was a gift. And in his heart, it was just normal, like he does for hundreds of people every day. This is not valid. Would be valid if you just were doing a sale like all the people do every day. According to those who said it doesn't require statements. So according to others in the Shafi'i school, mutual consent is enough, such as the buyer paying the price and the seller giving the item to him without words being exchanged. Yeah, so don't do something like you see something on sale somewhere, yani someone's selling something, and the one who's there, the one who's selling it isn't there, and then you don't want to wait around for him, so you leave some money and you write a note, and then you take the stuff and leave. Don't do some things like that. The position of the latter group of scholars on the said transaction is that it is valid and it is called mu'ata, a mu'ata contract, a give and take contract. Okay. Yani, it's a sale without statements. And just like I told you, when it comes to buying a specific thing that you haven't seen, there's another saying. We went over the details of that, but I advised you, don't completely throw this one away that you're never going to look at something in particular that you buy. Sometimes you're going to want to employ this rule even if you know there's another saying. Same thing here when it comes to statements. Sometimes you're going to be dealing with a person, even if you're willing to take the saying, that you don't have to make statements when you transact as long as it's done normally. There's going to be times when you really do want to just say a statement anyway, whether or not the person you're dealing with is even aware that what you say means anything. Quick digression for you, though, just a reminder. Marriage contract, on the other hand, definitely requires verbal statements. This is sale we're talking about here. And according to the Shafi'is, marriage contract even requires using the word inkah or tazweej, that means giving in marriage, or any of their translations. Also, divorce statement needs to be pronounced or written with an intention. Pronounced or written with an intention, not just written only. Writing a divorce statement without an intention of divorce is not a valid divorce. To sell what is not owned. This means to sell what no one owns. This statement is really clear, Yani. It is clear, but maybe someone might not understand what it really means. Someone might think this means to sell what you don't own, but it means to sell what no slave of Allah owns. When I say no one here, means no slave of Allah owns, such as a free person. Like you can't just capture a person and then shackle him and say, yeah, you're my slave now, and then put him on the slave market. Or unowned land. No one owns this land. It's not developed. You have to develop it first according to the rules of the religion, and then it will become yours by the work that you did on it. And then you can sell it. It says right here, the unowned land refers to undeveloped and uncultivated land that no one owns. When we say you need to develop it, you might turn it into farmland, or you might turn it into a stable, or you might turn it into a residence. Even if it's crude at first, doesn't have to be fancy. If you made it crudely according to the rules of the religion, then it's going to be valid. Now that's your land. What's not valid, though, for example, is just to take 4 big rocks and put them somewhere, make a square out of them, and say, now all this land is mine. That's not valid. Also, no slave of Allah owns najasa, like urine, feces, blood, wine, dogs. Wine is not money, although people sell it. And dogs are not money, though people sell them. Both of those are najasa. And najasa is not owned. Also, those exotic animals, like what we said up here, what has no benefit, like beetles and scorpions. You won't own those things even if you have them. So someone might have a snake or something like that, doesn't own it. because it's not money. He doesn't own it because it's not money. So then, does he have anything? He just has control over it. Not ownership of it, but control over it. That means he took it, for example, and he put it in a cage and he kept it like a dog. And don't forget that some things you can't keep since we're here. There might be some things you don't own them, but you have control over them. And then there's some things you're not allowed to keep, like pigs. You wouldn't own them, and you're not allowed to keep them either. Yani, don't put yourself in position of control over them because you're not allowed to have them. And like golden and silver utensils, you can't collect them. You can't collect them. It's not to say you can't have a treasure, though. You could have a treasure. There might be some gold and silver items in the treasure. But you can't have in your house like golden bowls and golden plates and forks and spoons and stuff like that. Golden vase or bottle or something like that. So now I just digressed for you. Before I move on, let's make sure everything's clear, nothing's mixed up here. We just talked about ownership. You can't sell what is not owned by any slave of Allah Ta'ala. Then from there, I digressed with you. And I talked to you about the difference between owning something and having control over it. So there might be something that you don't own it, so that means you can't sell it or buy it, and that means it's not money. You don't own it, it's not money. But you might have control over it, that means you're keeping it like a dog. Or I'll give you another example, like some manure, because you're a farmer and you use the manure. So you have control over these heaps of manure that you utilize. But you don't own it because it's najasa, it's not money. And then I mentioned for you, and then there's some things you can't even keep them, like pigs and like golden and silver utensils. To sell the unknown and the unidentified, those not exactly the same, but they're very close. Such as saying to the buyer, I now sell you one of these two garments. So there is an element of being unknown there and being unidentified there, without specifying either of them. Such a sale is invalid. Like just buying the contents of a storage unit without knowing what's in there. And they do some TV shows about that, where it's basically as a gamble. And they would bid on what's in some storage unit. Then there might be like worthless stuff in there. How would you purchase manure being a farmer? Purchase the crates and take the manure for free. You say to whoever is selling it, what do you want for this? He'll say to you, I sell it $20 per crate. So you say to him, all right, sell me 5 crates and give me the manure for free. I'll pay you the amount you want. Yani, sell me the crates and give me the manure inside for free. Fill it up though for me.
Sorry, brother, I have a question. Do you have to
Yes.
specify that you want the manure for free, or could you just say sell me the 5 crates?
And you need to make sure that
They're aware that the manure
yeah,
is
that it's normal. You need to make sure that your sale is normal.
okay.
Yani, meaning, let me say it this way. You have two options. Either you say the words of your sale, which is a strong saying in Shafi'i school, or if you're not going to say words, then you need to do a normal sale. And then in this case, it wouldn't be normal, right? According to like people who are dealing here, to want the manure for free and only pay for the crate. It wouldn't cross the other person's mind. So you're going to have to say something here.
Well, you just saying I'll buy the 5 crates, they
Yeah, but to
wouldn't.
him, that means with the manure inside, because that's what any person could say. Like if you're saying that is what other people would say. Someone might come to, he has many customers. They all come to him and say, let me get 3 crates. Let me get 5 crates. So then when you come and say, sell me the crate, that means to him, because of what's normal, sell me the manure.
Okay. So I'd be like, okay, sell me. It's like when you go to the store to get, for example, I mean, rubbing alcohol or something.
Yes. Then you'd say, sell me the
Yeah.
bottle. Give me the stuff inside for free.
Oh, there's like take the bottle with what's in it.
Any type of statement that's a valid statement.
Okay. Barakallahu fik.
Amin wa fikum. To sell najis filthy substances, such as blood and every intoxicant beverage, such as wine. So selling the najis filthy substance, that's invalid because it's not owned. Doesn't mean it's not useful though. Such as blood and every intoxicant beverage, yani intoxicating beverage. So here, what's in bold is translating what the Shaykh said in Arabic. It's correct. It's correctly translated. To sell not just filthy substances such as blood and every intoxicant, but yani, so what you see here, this reflects how the Shaykh said it in Arabic. So when you say every intoxicant, that doesn't mean specifically a beverage. So the way the Shaykh worded it in the Arabic, it's not by itself restricted to a beverage here. In the explanation, they limited the explanation of this intoxicant to a beverage. Beverage means a drink. Not because other intoxicants are not haram, they're going to say too down here. Or maybe it's already up. But yeah, anyway, the words of the Shaykh in Arabic are not themselves restricted to a beverage. But when a beverage is an intoxicant in particular, When the intoxicant is a beverage in particular, then it's going to be najis filthy. That's a rule. Any intoxicating liquid is najasa. But not every intoxicating substance is najasa. Like cocaine, for example. It's not najasa. So to sell najis filthy substances such as blood and every intoxicant beverage, such as wine. Wine means what's made from grapes. And intoxicating fermented juices. So, they have all sorts of things like beer and malt liquor and other things. Depends on what they make it from. Depending on what they make it from, they're going to give it a name. And spirits, including ethanol. All right. So it's clear for you. An intoxicating drink is najasa, like wine or any other intoxicating drink. Intoxicating fermented juices. So, for example, you had some juice. You didn't even mean to make wine out of it. You just had some juice and it got old without being refrigerated. It's not refrigerated, sits somewhere, it got old. So it really turned into an intoxicating beverage. So now it's najasa. So you can't sell it. Now, though, some people, they equate the word ferment with the word najasa. So they have questions here. If they ever see the word fermented, then they think that they're dealing with najasa. I haven't learned like this. What I know is an intoxicating drink, an intoxicating liquid is najasa. That's the rule. Not because the word fermented is printed on ingredients or somewhere on a package means that this is najasa.
Sorry, brother, I have a question.
Yes.
So you know how you're saying about the sure, how did I want to word it? Because right now you're just mentioning it about the fermenting. Okay, like
Yes.
so you know how sometimes they have in stores the non-alcoholic beverages?
Yes.
Like they'll say on it it's and there's like 0% alcohol.
Yes.
Okay, is that okay to be drank? Because then I don't know, there's something on it. It says there's like something on the back. I don't even know what it really means, but does it mean that they take the alcohol out? Because then it's already it's najis. I know. I mean, like najasa came on the content, right? So it's you can't drink it.
I
But
don't
I
know how
don't.
they make it.
Yeah. So when it says like non-alcoholic, like for example, there's the
Let me stop you real quick and let
Sure,
me
go
say
ahead.
this. The person merely goes by the rule, the bare rule, without knowing the process of how they make this thing. It's not going to be a sin on the person. Meaning, if the person says the rule is it's haram for me to drink an intoxicating beverage, and in fact this is going to be najasa. There's another rule also, which is if you doubt in any food that's not meat, if you doubt in any food that's not meat, if you doubt about food that's not meat, it's permissible for you to eat it. So if the person says, here's an intoxicating, if the person said, here's a drink, this drink is not an intoxicating drink. I don't know how they make this. I am not sure. What is the process of this? All I know is this is consumable and it's not intoxicating. The rule is it's permissible for me to eat what's not meat, even if I'm doubting about it. So then if a person drank this is not, under these circumstances, like I'm telling you, there's no sin here.
So yeah, I just actually, you pointed out something. Actually, I didn't even think about it, but now that you brought it to my attention, the meat. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, always when I doubt something about meat, I don't eat it. Meat or chicken, whatever. This I don't eat it. But and I heard this judgment, but I never thought about anything other than that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so right now you're
Yes.
listening. SubhanAllah, I didn't even
Yes.
think about that.
You mean the caution that you feel in yourself about meat, you don't find it when it comes to other things.
That's right, but I never thought about like how you said right now. You don't even it doesn't. How do I say? It is permissible for you to still eat it.
Yes, still
Yeah,
permissible.
yeah. Barakallahu feek.
I mean, wafikum. As long as it's not meat, and I'll remind you here with what meat is. Meat is not. It's not powder inside of the ramen noodle packet. That's not meat or something else.
Yeah, it's not even real. Like when they say, like for example, the chicken flavored ones, it's not actually chicken. Like when you read even the ingredients,
But
even
some
if
of
you
them they
read,
say chicken fat.
yeah.
Also,
Oh yeah,
chicken
yeah.
flavor is one thing. One says another one will say chicken fat or beef fat. Even still, even if that's what they said in there, still not meat though. Powder is because it's powder. It's not meat.
Right. I heard about that too.
So this is something that people mix. They said, "Isn't it a meat product?" So that's not the rule. The rule's not meat product. The rule is meat. Meat. It's haram to eat meat. That means flesh. That includes fat and skin. While doubting about it, but it's not haram to eat other than meat while doubting about it, including cheese and gelatin and shortening. SubhanAllah, I just recently acquired a box of corn muffin mix. And Allah willed me to look at the ingredients, said lard on there. And I was still doubtful actually, but I just decided not to eat it. But I could have eaten it if I wanted to.
So speaking about meat, okay, but I know there's like different judgment for like the fish and stuff like that. What's in the water?
Yes.
Okay, so the animal that comes in that's in the water and out of the water, I can't remember what was the judgment for that. Like for example, frogs.
Yeah, it's not permissible to eat the animals that live in the water and on the land.
Okay.
It's permissible to eat the animals that live in the water, even if they might survive sometime out of the water. They don't live out of the water. There's an example too I learned. I said two right now because I'm remembering a conversation I recently had. There's some things that cling to the rocks. You can eat these things that cling to the rocks. So these things, you can eat them, even though sometimes the tide recedes. So it means they're going to be out of the water. They're not going to die. But the water's still always coming on them.
Are you talking about like snails?
No, not snails. Something else, more like a clam or something, some type of thing like that.
Okay. Okay.
So, for example, crab or lobsters, some crabs you can't eat, and some crabs you can eat, and the lobsters you can eat. They say the lobsters don't come out of the water. When we say here it doesn't come out of the water, like I just said right now, doesn't mean it's gonna just roll over and die immediately because it's out of the water. But there's some animals, they can live on the land. Those ones you can't eat them if they can live in the water too.
So when you say there's some crab that you can eat and some you can't, they're specific, like
According to this rule here, because there's some crabs that they stay in the water, they don't come out.
okay, yeah, we wouldn't know that unless we asked about
Well,
the
those types
specific
are
crabs.
known, and it doesn't mean that if they came out the water, they're just gonna die, but they don't come out the water.
Okay, like
Uh,
so, for example, they live major like the majority of their time they're living is under the water, in the water,
what I know,
and
they always in the water. They don't come out the water.
oh really? Okay,
Yeah, but if you take them out, doesn't mean they're gonna die immediately.
right.
There's some crabs they just stay in the water only. Like there's crabs, deep sea crabs, Yani. I don't think they're even anywhere close to a beach.
Right. Okay, sorry. I think we should go back to topic. Sorry.
No problem. So it says to sell najis filthy substances such as blood and every intoxicant beverage such as wine, intoxicating fermented juices, and spirits, including ethanol. Ethanol, yani, that's alcohol. The word alcohol is chemical terminology. I don't know what's exactly definition of it, but they use the word alcohol for more than one thing. It's not simply because you see the word alcohol on ingredients of something that means that this thing is najasa. Then it's going to go back to the rule. Since it's not meat and you're doubting about it, you don't really know what is in there, then you can use it. You might apply it to your body or you might consume it. But ethanol, that's najasa. It's also called ether. Ether. And according to people who study this issue, there's many names for this ethanol that they use in products, like denat. Denat. I think that means denaturalized or something like that. They say this is ethanol. Uh, and also here, what's if we can't buy ethanol? If we can't buy that because basically it's alcohol and it's najasa, that means that what you're going to do with your gasoline for your car if they put ethanol in there or ether in there. Subhanallah. Well, there's different things you can do, like when you talk to the person, you tell them this is a gift, just give me the gas for free. Or you might do something like when you pull up to a pump, just look for the number. Don't look for anything else. Don't try to see if there's ethanol in there. Just look at the number of the pump. That's it. Park there, go inside, pay for the gas. Don't look at anything but the handle. And don't look at anything but the button. Put the handle in your car, press the button, and then don't look at that thing. When it's done, put everything away and drive away. It says all of the aforementioned substances are najis filth, thus prohibiting their sale. To sell prohibited articles such as the tumbur, a musical instrument which resembles the lute, yani some sort of guitar, Other examples of prohibited articles are the flute, flute meaning a pipe, and the darabuka. Hope I said that right. An hourglass shaped hand drum. Yeah. Hourglass shape is approximation there. It is also prohibited to sell a lawful and pure article to someone you know wants to disobey Allah with it. SubhanAllah. Sometimes I think about people who have music stores, like where they sell instruments. They have guitars hanging on the walls and everything. So much of their money is haram. Maybe just here and there, yani, they got halal money from selling drums, or maybe from selling keyboards. It's not haram to sell a keyboard.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
But Shaykh, if they put that money mix that money together with the halals, and it a halal money, altogether money's haram, right?
Yes, if they mix their money in such a way that they can't tell the difference between what's halal and what's haram, then all of it's haram.
Barakallah.
Just like if you had 100 slaughtered chickens, sacrificed properly, and one's not sacrificed properly, and it got mixed. And then it got mixed in such a way that you don't know which one is the bad one. Now you can't eat any of them. It is also prohibited to sell a lawful and pure article to someone you know wants to disobey Allah with it, because it is not permissible to assist others in committing a sin, such as selling grapes to a person who you know will make wine out of them, or a weapon to a person whom you know will kill himself or will assault people with it. To a person whom you know, to a person whom you know. But then it's not going to work with the blending style here. Remember, the dark part is the original text, and the regular text that's not bold, that's the explanation. So if you read just the original text, the translation of it, that is, it reads, it is also prohibited to sell a lawful and pure article to someone you know wants to disobey Allah with it, such as grapes to a person who will make wine out of them. That's correct. Who will. Or a person, or a weapon to a person who will assault people with it. Period. But when they put here, you know, then that changes it. So it becomes such as selling grapes to a person whom you know will make wine out of them. Or maybe possibly I'm mistaken.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Kind of confused about what you said about the issue of like the music store, and you said some of them they might have some halal instruments and some haram instruments, so the money's mixed.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you buy something if the stuff is mixed? And the same thing as far as like
You might buy from them without getting change back from them.
okay, so if you get change back, you can't do it?
Well, you don't know. You don't know the money. What's halal and what's haram there.
Okay. So that's the case with any other store, like going to Walmart
Yeah,
or something
you
like
don't
that.
know. Even though the gas station,
All right, okay.
don't they sell their hot dogs and things like that? Haram stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know what's the change they're giving back to you.
Okay. So that's over. So that's you're saying that's overlooked?
Would you say, brother?
Are you saying that it's overlooked?
Uh, well, I'm not saying it's overlooked. If you knew it was haram, then you can't deal with it. It's not a condition for you to know that it's haram. It's not an obligation.
Okay. Okay. Barakallahu feek.
Amin wa fi. He said someone found money in the masjid parking lot. They informed the imam. The imam told them to drop it in the donation box. Is this correct? So not correct. Subhanallah. Sounds like an ignorant imam. So we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. He said, like if I saw them on the counter or at the cashier selling spirits and ethanol, and putting that money taken in the cashier. For example, Yani, you know it's the haram money. You know somehow, by some way of having knowledge, that that's haram money. Then you can't take it. You said, but how will I know if the change that I got? So that means you don't know. I'm talking about if you know. Like if you saw the person right in front of you, you bought a haram hot dog, and he put $1 right there. He took the dollar, he put it right there. You saw that dollar with your eye go right there inside the drawer. And then when you want to pay something, he gave you that same dollar you saw with your very own eye. So you know you can't take that.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
A lot of questions there. Is that the same thing, that judgment, the same thing? You know this person, a thief, a drug dealer, whatever it may be, but he want to give you some money. That money that he give you, that he offered to give you, you're not sure that that's the money that he sells drugs with or that he stole previously.
Yeah,
And
you can take that.
you can take, yeah, gosh.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hajj, would that actually, sorry, brother, would that actually work if it was their only source of income? So their source of income was the drug money, and then they decided to give it to someone else, the other person taking
It
it.
still doesn't mean you know where they got that money from, though.
No, Allahu Alam.
Yeah, you might know or you might not know. You might really know. So if you knew, that's the rule. If you know,
Yeah.
then you can't take it. That's haram money. You can't take it.
Okay.
Like for example, you're right there with him in the car or whatever on the corner, and then he sold the drugs. And yeah, let's say he sold the wine. Let's say he sold wine, and then put the money in his pocket, and that's what he's doing. And he keep putting all the same money in a big wad. He has a wad of haram money in his pocket. He saw that, all that, and then when he wanted to give you some money, he took out that wad. He opened it up so he can give you some. You can't take that. But I want to be clear here, for judgment's sake, for religious judgment's sake, why I said wine in particular, because that's for sure you can't sell, it's not valid. Don't forget, sometimes the haram sale is still valid. So I didn't want to say something other than wine and give you the impression that something else is actually invalid sale. It might be haram, but valid. Like, I'll give you a simple example. Don't you know some people, they like to use cough syrup? They use cough syrup for intoxication purposes. It's not haram to buy cough syrup. It's going to be haram for them to buy that cough syrup like that with this intention. So that's why I said wine exactly. I didn't want to give the impression that something else is going to be invalid. Might not be invalid. Could be just haram. Depends on what it is. Any other question? Amin wa fikum. Says the thing that confused me still is that you stated that since the money is mixed, all the money is haram. Yeah, meaning it's mixed in a way that he doesn't know which one is which. If it's mixed, but still in a way that he knows which one is which, then he can use the halal money and not use the haram money. For example, what if, let's say, he sells guitars and horns and flutes, but he also sells drums and keyboards. So what if someone bought some drums using $20 bill, and the only 20 he has is from the drums, and he mixed that with his other money. But then when he looks at all his bills, he finds that 20, so he knows that one is halal. Clear? I mean, wafikum. What about if I got there and buy a drum and get change? So you went there, bought a drum, and got change. You don't know what's the change he gave you back, and it's not a condition for you. You don't have to say, look at all these haram instruments he has. This change he's giving me back, it has to be haram money. And you don't have to say, this change he's giving me back is for sure from the money from the trumpet that I saw him selling. But if you're a cautious person, you're going to avoid all of that. The person who's really concerned here, what he might do if he definitely wants to do business with this person, he would go in there, for example, with correct change, exact change. Yeah, it's different for you. Because just like we said about if you went to Walmart or any other place, probably a lot of the stores you go to, they sell haram things. Person went to McDonald's just to get a milkshake. Yes, wara, out of precaution. Person, out of precaution. The person, that's wara, wara. What is that called? Wara, yes. Wara, yes. That means precaution. That's from God-fearingness. That's when a person avoids something that's halal out of fear of the haram. Very good attribute to have. That's a quality of the saints. The awliya have wara. I mean, wa iyyakum. And the Sahaba had it a lot. And I think a lot of people in our time don't have wara. It will suffice them that it's not haram. طيب. آمين وإياكم. Wara is avoiding the halal out of fear of the haram. Avoid the halal out of fear of haram. Ameen, and you too. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك